All right, let's just dive right into it. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating concept from the source material called Invincible Thinking. Now, this isn't just some catchy buzzword, it's an entire comprehensive philosophical framework. The goal? Finding victory in literally every phase of your life. Whether you're, riding high on a massive wave of success, or you're down in the trenches facing a crushing defeat, this explainer is going to break down exactly how you can use both of those extremes as pure fuel for continuous growth.
Here is our roadmap for today. Number 1, the essence of invincible thinking. 2, the power of adversity, or bamboo nodes. 3, tree rings from harsh environments. 4, sowing seeds of love and prosperity. And 5, reversing hardships with the judo mindset. Let's get into it.
Starting with Section 1, the essence of invincible thinking.
So what exactly is this mindset? And, how is it any different from your run-of-the-mill self-help advice? Well, according to the text, invincible thinking absolutely is not some toxic positivity trap where you just pretend bad things aren't happening. Not at all. It's a highly practical, universal methodology. It essentially requires you to take two seemingly opposite actions and weave them into your daily life. First, deep, critical self-reflection, looking inward, which the text calls hansai. And second, proactive, forward development, looking outward, or hatten. By uniting this inner reflection with outer development, you basically stop being a victim of circumstance. You start extracting highly actionable lessons from absolutely any situation. Massive success, devastating failure, the whole shebang.
And just to ground us, the concepts we are unpacking today are drawn straight from Ryuho Okawa's best-selling book, Invincible Thinking. We're going to impartially look at this abstract philosophy and extract the structured, practical takeaways to see exactly how it tackles life's inevitable ups and downs.
Okay, moving on to Section 2, the power of adversity, bamboo nodes.
Now, when we face adversity, let's be real, it usually just feels like pain. But what is so brilliant here is how the source text uses this highly relatable natural metaphor to completely reframe how we view hardship. It beautifully contrasts a young, fragile bamboo shoot with mature, fully grown bamboo. Think about it. A young shoot grows incredibly fast. It's totally smooth, which seems great, right? But because it hasn't faced any tension, it's actually incredibly weak. It breaks super easily. Painful adversity, according to the text, acts exactly like the formation of a bamboo node. You know that hard, rigid ring on the bamboo stalk? That is formed entirely through tension and struggle. But that very same node is the absolute necessary foundation that keeps the bamboo from snapping in the wind. It's literally what allows it to grow to those immense heights later on.
To really make this concrete, try this out. Look back at your own life for a second. If you reflect on the past 5, maybe 10 years, you'll probably hit on a pretty profound truth. Your absolute hardest, most painful times, the moments where you felt like you were failing or in total despair, those were actually your periods of greatest learning. Those were the exact moments you were forming your nodes. Take a quick second to just think about what your biggest node has been so far.
Which brings us to Section 3, tree rings from harsh environments.
Building right off that bamboo analogy, the text brings in another super vivid metaphor to show us how our external environment completely shapes our inner resilience. And it really highlights the hidden danger of a life that's just too easy. Imagine an elite person who has never faced a day of hardship. They've just sailed through life in this perfectly safe bubble. The author compares them to a fast-growing tree in a calm, sheltered valley. When a sudden typhoon hits, bam, that tree is instantly uprooted and destroyed. But contrast that with a tree growing in a harsh, totally unforgiving environment. It grows a lot slower, sure, but in the process, it develops these incredibly strong, super dense tree rings, and those dense rings are exactly what make the tree practically unbreakable.
So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that times of adversity shouldn't just lead to throwing your hands up in despair. When you find yourself in a harsh environment, the text says you have to use that exact time as an extended period of intense self-reflection and inner discipline. So the next time you feel like you're caught in the middle of a storm, just remember, you are not failing. You are actively building your dense inner rings so you can actually survive the inevitable storms of life.
All right, Section 4, sowing seeds of love in prosperity.
So we've talked a lot about hardship, but the text actually offers some incredibly strict and honestly counterintuitive advice for when things are going perfectly well. Believe it or not, prosperous times, when you're just winning and everything is totally going your way, the text argues those are actually incredibly dangerous times. When you hit a peak, your first instinct is usually just to celebrate yourself, right? But you have to recognize the hidden pitfalls of success. The author warns that you must actively fight off arrogance and the urge to just act for your own benefit. Instead, you are demanded to proactively use your success to help others. The text beautifully describes this action as sowing seeds of love.
And here is where it gets really cool, because this creates this fascinating self-sustaining cycle. The selfless support, the advice, the care you offer to people during your good times, it basically acts as an ultimate safety net. Because look, life works in cycles. The wind is eventually going to change, and you will undoubtedly face hardship again. It's just a given. But when you do, the goodwill and the spiritual momentum from those seeds of love you planted, the text argues that will be the exact thing that saves you.
Finally, Section 5, Reversing Hardships, the Judo Mindset.
For our last section, we're looking at how to synthesize everything, navigating both the good times and the bad through this incredibly dynamic martial arts metaphor. To give us an elegant summary of the whole philosophy, the author introduces the concept of the Judo Mindset. The core idea? True victory is not about crushing your obstacles with sheer brute force. And it's definitely not about pretending the obstacles aren't there. It's about using the energy of the problem itself.
Just like the actual mechanics of a real judo throw, the text outlines a distinct three-step process. Step 1, do not resist it rigidly or try to absorb the hardship's impact head-on. Step 2, accept that external force and actually utilize its incoming momentum. And Step 3, execute a positive counter technique to turn it completely to your advantage. By pairing that deep self-reflection with forward development, you literally flip the hardship over. You turn an incoming negative force into a massive positive advantage.
So, based on this profound framing, viewing success as a time to plant seeds and struggle as a time to build your unbreakable strength, I want to leave you with this final thought to reflect on for your own life. Knowing that every single difficulty is just a setup for future growth, what kind of invincible node are you forming right now?